To OBC Midweek News. I'm Phil. I'm covered in paint today because I'm painting our new house, and stepped out a bit to come and see and spend some time with Martin, Senior Minister here. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And it's good to speak to friends, Orpington Baptist Church, but far and wide as well. And whether you come to the church or whether you're just watching now, it's great to be sharing with you from Orpington Baptist Church. And we have a friend with us today, Michael Anokye. And Michael is on placement with us here at OBC from Spurgeon's College, which is the biggest ministerial training college that we have, based in London. Michael, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you, Phil.
No worries, mate. You're. I tell you what, you coming to OBC is a godsend for me because I can see what the next few years are going to be like for me just by seeing how you are. Although it's slightly different, it's lovely to know that you're in the same path and everything. It's really good to be working with you.
Thank you very much.
And Michael, you were born and you grew up in Ghana. Did you have a sort of Christian upbringing, or were you converted? What's your story?
Martin, I've got an incredible story behind me, and I would like to share a bit with you in a couple of minutes. I was born into a Christian family. My mother, who is still a minister, even a retired minister, and she still got a very big church. My senior brother has got a big church. We have a lot of mega churches in Ghana. And, I was born into that family. But, growing up in Ghana, I love God, and loving God is different from encountering God. Similar to Paul, who became Saul, who became Paul. He loved God, but he didn't know God, because when God was calling him in his episode in Damascus, he said to himself, "Who are you?" But he thought he was on a mission for God. So sometimes loving God is different from knowing God. And also knowing God and loving God has to work hand in hand. So I also had encounter with God when I was growing up. Even though I've been participating in the Sunday school, here it's like children ministry, Ghana, we call it Sunday school. I'm participating in Sunday school, but I really had an encounter when I was in the year 1996, when we had a youth camp, youth meeting. And I really had an encounter with the Holy Spirit, which changed the course of my life.
And so in 1996, a youth camp. Michael, you were just a teenager then, is that right?
Yes, I was a teenager.
And you're still in Ghana?
Yes, I was still in Ghana.
Okay, and can you tell us about the encounter briefly?
Good. The encounter was when we were at the meeting, the preacher was preaching and said that even though you've been into church for so many years, God can speak to your heart, and you will know difference in knowing God, loving God, and giving your whole self to God. So we break up into groups and we had a discussion. When we went back, I was feeling like I wanted to cry and said, "No, what is happening?" And I felt that deep love of God, which I think Spurgeon described it as having something in you that you cannot explain. It's inexplicable feeling. There is some deep sensation of you that there's a calling upon your life that you cannot explain, but you feel it, that you are being called. I felt that way, and I went to a room, shed some tears. So the youth minister, like yourself, at that time came to me. And the man was Isaac Frimpong, because has been brilliant in my life. So always I praise the youth ministers, because what a child could be in future sometimes depends quite a lot on the youth minister that they encounter. So the youth minister came there, prayed with me, and never stopped. They were chasing me like, "You are organizing Alpha courses," and all the things. They were chasing me, and I went through those courses, knowing God, having faith, loving God. And then I was growing gradually in faith. and today.
Wow.
And Michael, you went on to study, I think, theology in Ghana, and then you studied theology as well as in the UK. When did you come to the UK?
During my encounter, it changed my course of life because the encounter prompted the church to put me into a Catholic school. I thought I've been able to afford, but of God. So when I spent 2 years in the Catholic theology school, seminarian school, they thought I would be a priest, but I told them I'm from Assemblies of God background, so like Baptist in the UK, so I will not be able to work as a priest. So that meant that ministers were going into the major seminary. I went to University of Ghana and I did philosophy and religions for 3 years. So during that time, I met my wife who had always been coming to UK because of family affiliation. So she wanted me to come to UK, and it was a bit difficult at that time, but after a couple of thinking and praying, I finally joined her in the year 2001. So I've been here for June will be 20 years.
Wow. And it's been great actually the last few weeks, especially since we reopened, Michael, getting to see your family and getting to know your children. Just remind everyone your lovely wife is Irene, and you've got four children, is that right?
Yes.
They are an absolute pleasure to have them part of this church, as it is you and you and your wife. So you've come from Trinity Baptist Church in Croydon, is that right?
Yeah, we are a church plant from Croydon branch, but not mainly from Croydon. Croydon planted the Trinity Church in Slough, so I was assistant minister in Slough.
And tell us about the Trinity Church, because I think it's a black majority church, but it's also majority Ghanaian, isn't it? And a number of churches around London. Is that right, Michael?
It's exactly spot on. Trinity is a black majority church because the black people, sometimes we have a way of worship. And then when we go to white majority church, they have a way of worshiping. I think one of the philosophers described the black majority church's way of worshiping as a static phase, like full of ecstasy, shouting, jumping, clapping, dancing. We like to move around. But we had the contemporary songs like Baptist Church. Everything is done like that, except that Uppington don't dance quite a lot. I think this summer we have to dance a bit more.
It's obviously hard at the moment to compare it fully because we're not fully free, are we, as a church, in terms of our ability to worship? No masks, etc. Sorry, wearing masks and no singing. But is that the main difference that you said? There's in your church in Slough and from Trinity, it's a lot of dancing and freedom in movement when it comes to worship. Is that accurate?
It's accurate, but that's only the two reasons that you've mentioned. The others you've not mentioned. Dancing and movement is part of it. And then you see, Uppington Baptist churches, they mix contemporary with liturgy. So the church is organized in liturgical formats, which does not give room for spontaneity. Like somebody can be given prophecy from the pews, or somebody can also be given word of knowledge, or praying for healing and the rest. So it's set in a liturgical way that that service, we know how it's going to happen and what is going to happen. So in that liturgical format, Trinity Baptist has got the same liturgical format, like how it's going to happen, but they can organize a time for prophetic ministry, healing ministry, deliverance ministry, and so there's so much diversity to it. And then the church can also be open to the general floor to pray loud, even though now we are restricted, so we can't do that. But I've not observed that. I'm yet to observe if Uppington is open up, that because we have somebody who leads the prayers all the time, does the congregation have the time to also pray and pray themselves? That's what is also.
That's really interesting, Michael, and the comparisons, and indeed what we can learn from one another as well. A difficult question, Michael, for us to reflect on together, and I'm not sure of the answer on this. We seek to be a multicultural church here, and you've seen for yourself that we have many nations represented in the church family at OBC, including a number of Ghanaian members. But you've come from a black majority church, and there are a number of black majority churches around London. Do you think it's the result of racism in our country that has made black majority churches want to come together in that way, or has there been is there a different kind of reason?
Thank you, Martin. It's a very interesting question, but actually I have not researched into this area to find out why the black people like to group themselves. I think it's got to do with how black people also worship from Africa. And we have something called indigenization of the church, or cultural indigenization of the church, mixing culture with church. The way the culture is also mixed with the church. But when you go to the way black people dance, do their cultural things, they like to put that one also in their services. So sometimes if they go to service and they don't experience that they have had from their cultural background, they don't fully get satisfied.
Yes.
Right. They begin to look around to see where they can be satisfied with.
I did say to your wife, Irene, that I'd love to see her dance, actually. Sometimes it may seem that we're a bit staid, but there's a dance in our hearts, actually. Michael, I mean, speaking personally, because it's a very important subject, and we want to, as a church, stand against any form of racism in our society. Have your personal experience, especially since coming from Ghana, have you been treated with equality and respect, or have you encountered racism yourself?
Thank you, Martin. Racism is part of human institutions. So having a human institution whereby there are different cultures mixed, and not to speak about racism was something that will not be auguring well with the whole community. I might have had encounter with racism, but it depends how individual deals with racism. Because for me, whatever the situation of the racism that was at me, just look upon it, know that sometimes it comes as a result of ignorance. Someone might have said something that genuinely the person is not planning towards you, but because of the historical antecedents or the historical precedence of the word that the person is using can have a racist connotation to it. There are some people, they take everything critical because of how they have been treated. Racism is always everywhere, and everybody can be potentially racist depending on how the person will respond. I felt that in churches, no one deliberately loved God and yet would like to be racist. That the person had not encountered God. Because the Bible says there's no Jew or Greek or Gentile.
Amen.
One.
Yeah.
Michael, your children, can I just ask if they're in the same boat as you? Because I think it's a much more of a multicultural society now at schools than it probably was when I was at school, and I think there is more awareness of it now and much more education about it now with young people. Do you feel your children have experienced equality at schools, or do you still feel there might be discrimination and racism within our education? Have they shared it with you? I'm just wondering.
That's a very important question, because my other child, Michelle, usually has become so much alert and aware about racism, and I'm thinking, what is she learning, or what is prompting her to be thinking like that? Because not knowing, she has been encountering and experiencing it, and she has been reading so much on it on the internet and making notes. So I was a bit surprised to see that. So I decided to sit her down and to go through with her. And I said that if you want to research into it, you will find more than you want to know. But you don't need to research into it, cross over it, and also have a positive mindset that God said to Jeremiah that I know the plans I have for you. So whatever plans other people will have for you is different from the plans that God has for you. If you believe in God that He's got a plan for you, His plan will be established in your life. No matter what other will try to push you down, it's for God to pick you up.
Your oldest goes to Newstead Wood Grammar School, doesn't she, Michael? Is that right?
Yes.
She's very bright then.
So, Michael, just asking on that verse, I know the plans I have for you. Do you know what God's got in plans for you then? Because you're obviously on this program for 2 years with Spurgeon's. What can you see ahead? What's your vision for you and your family?
That's a very important question. Sometimes God's plan is also ambiguous. Sometimes I think He communicated clearly to Jeremiah that I know the plans I have for you, a plan for your welfare, but God did not explain the welfare. So,
so after 2 years, of this course that you're on, do you feel completely in the hands of God as to where you're going to go, or have you got a vision in your own head of what's going to happen?
And particularly, would you want to serve in a kind of a mixed church, a multicultural church, or would you, or even a majority white church, or would you want to serve back in a Trinity kind of situation in a black majority fellowship? What's your feeling about that?
That's a very good question. This question is a continuation of Phil's question.
Yes.
Double team.
I thought I'd just kind of emphasize the point.
That's a good question. Thank you very much. Phil, to come to your question for the first, to answer that one first. The Baptist ministry, when you finish the school, and then you are a minister for Baptist Church, you can also choose a bivocational, or also choose to apply for a church. When you apply for the church, you go for interview. A lot of pastors can come, so you can love the church as much as you want, but you might not get it. It depends where God actually wants you to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then in the continuation with what Martin said, that you like to be in a black or the mixed culture. I really like to be where God wants me to be. That would be where I would be productive.
Good answer.
That's the best answer, mate. Best answer.
You win the prize, Michael. That's great. That's great. That's the best place to be, isn't it? In God's will, wherever it is. And
are you, Michael? Are you enjoying your time at OBC? Because you've been here for just coming up to a month now, and only half of that time have we had a congregation of sorts. So it's hard for you to really get to meet and know people. But are you enjoying your time here in Orpington?
Yes, Orpington Baptist Church is a great church, and I think Orpington has got the capacity of growing as big as Trinity Baptist in Croydon, whereby they will have auditorium of having around 400 to 500 people. Because if you look at the location strategically, Orpington is well located, and looking at people moving into Orpington and people trying to look for church, when the situation is settled for people to come to church, the church probably will not do much evangelism, but it will still attract people. So, but the problem with Orpington will be that there will be a lot of race or a lot of cultures coming together, and sometimes churches also find this problem when different cultures are coming together. There's a type of culture tension or other form of unconscious bias that plays up. And how is it going to be handled for the church to flourish and grow to that dimension? So I think the Orpington Baptist is a very good church. With service is also suitable across so many traditions. That's it. Well.
And what do you think of the minister?
Oh, Martin is great because I've watched the service.
You can be honest. It's okay.
Yes, yes. I've watched the service, and what I've noticed from the service is that every service is diverse,
yes,
and with different people. And that is one of the ways of breaking cultural tension when a church is growing up in that dimension. And for our church to go into the service,
we work hard on that to keep the diversity of the church family represented in our worship, because it's an important thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Michael, it's it's great to have you and your family here with us at OBC, and I hope it's going to bless you lots. And I know that you are a blessing to us already, and we'd want to do anything to help and support you.
Absolutely.
In the next couple of years, Michael is also going to go to other Baptist churches. We kind of set it up so that he goes along to different Baptist churches in Orpington and Bromley and gets a wide experience of different kinds of Baptist church in our area. But thankfully, it's going to have a base here, and his wife and family are going to stick with us. That's the plan, isn't it, Michael?
Yes.
And
looking forward to it, mate.
We're really looking forward to sharing with you more over the next couple of years.
Thank you so much, Michael. God bless, and we'll see you during the week.
Thank you very much, and bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Michael. Oh, what a lovely man he is.
Top man. He's and as you say, it's just as much of a learning curve for him as it is for us, really, isn't it?
Yes.
It's learning so much from him about traditions and Trinity and his church in Slough and where he's been placed and stuff. It's been a real blessing. It's been a real blessing.
It's
so
really interesting to think through that. But we can learn from him as much, if not more, than we have to teach him. That's for sure.
It's tricky now because we've got two Michaels in leadership, really, haven't we? The minister in training and there's a youth assistant as well. I have to keep getting confused about which Michael I'm referring to, because they're both fairly different.
Yeah, they are.
One's a 22, young, free and single, in the end of his theology degree, and Michael's married with 4 children from Ghana. So
it's great to have Michael Linz with us as well.
And, absolutely.
And his parents have started worshiping.
They have, they're great
online.
Yeah,
and that's
they're good friends with Dan, our new worship leader, and his family, and that's great. Can I just mention actually on that we looking forward to the summer actually. So many parents would have been upset knowing that we wouldn't be doing a massive youth festival trip this year, and actually indeed our boys brigade and girls brigade camps aren't going to go ahead for various reasons, but we've chosen to do something ourselves this year, which is to go to Carity Wood just down the road, and it's a beautiful venue, and we're going to go there for 5 days in August. We really would love any teenager, any secondary school child to come along for 5 days to experience God's love amongst us all, and to learn more, encourage us all, empower young people to stand up for Jesus. We really want our young people to be warriors for Jesus, and it's going to be a great week with activities and worship led by Dan, and I think actually our old worship leader John's going to come along for a day or two. So yeah, loads of good things lined up, and some parents I think may have missed the emails or something. So if you're watching this and want to know more, get in touch with me, and I'll get you the forms and we'll get you booked on. So we heard recently, Martin, that we on the 17th of May restrictions are changing slightly, aren't they, for things like funerals and so on. That's going to be quite useful for us, isn't it, actually?
Yes, it is, yes. So, we're so grateful that the death rate is really coming down in the UK anyway, and not in places like India, sadly.
No.
But and that the double whammy of the lockdown and of the vaccination seems to be being really effective, and that means that the restrictions can certainly get less, and that's good, and we intend to take advantage of them. So, for instance, 3 life groups now are meeting
in person
here at the church, which is something that we can now do. Others continuing to meet online, Zoom, and that's great too. But it's really good to get Christian fellowship encouraged. If you're not a member of a life group, there's a midweek kind of Bible study, discussion, prayer, supportive group. We'd love you to be part of one, and just be in touch.
Because I'm right when I say this, Martin, you don't have to be a member of a church, to be a member of the life group, do you?
No, you don't.
We say that. I just wanted to sort of clarify that you may have been coming to church for a few weeks or watching our services for a few weeks or so on, but not a committed member of this Baptist church. You are still wanting to be part of a life group. We want you to be as well. So please reach out to us. We'd love you to connect with one another.
Absolutely, and other things too, like with next Thursday, next week, our Alpha course launches, and we're really excited about that. About 17 people signed up for that already. There's space for more. And what's really interested me is that people not just from Orpington, because it's online, it means that somebody from Newbury, somebody from Barking, and so on can be part of that Alpha Online course, and that's really good. And so we welcome anyone. Actually,
we do. You may think you know a lot, and you may well know a lot, or you may be new to church and maybe your own faith, and you may have questions. This course changes lives. Alpha is a course run and set up by Nikki Gumbel from Holy Trinity Brompton, and it's gone worldwide. This course, it's a 10-week course, so it does involve some commitment, but just over an hour or so each week, it could change your life, and I don't mean that lightly. It genuinely can change lives. So we're really excited to be running it as of next Thursday. And if you wanted to come along, and if you wanted to bring someone along as well, that's just as important. And let them know that if they're worried about it, then tell them to turn their cameras off. They don't have to talk. They can just listen. And hey, who knows what can happen. So that's next Thursday for 10 weeks, because this Thursday we finish off our lovely prayer course, the prayer course 2, which is coming to an end. It's been really good, hasn't it?
It's been very
fantastic.
Good teaching and good discussion groups as well for people. It was really, really lovely.
We are early June, actually. We're going to have a seminar for baptism and membership. And again, it's this. We're a church without borders at the moment. So as it's online, anyone can come along. Just because you may not ever get baptized at OBC doesn't mean might not want to know more about baptism.
That's right.
So do come along. But we're looking forward to welcoming people who are thinking about baptism and definitely thinking about membership. That's early June. So let us know about that.
Oh, there's so much going on,
I know, it's a bit busy.
On next Wednesday is our AGM and church family meeting, and mentioning membership. There's a family to
consider
bring into membership, and we're looking forward to that, to continue to grow in membership and in friends, all around the place as well. Don't forget Sunday.
Oh yeah,
I think,
Sunday.
I've just been told that numbers booked for Sunday are reaching about 80 at the moment.
Great.
So that means,
Only a few left.
a few left, really. So if you want to come on Sunday in person, please book soon with us, with the church office, and it'd be great to have you in person there. Though we're so thankful again how well our online ministry, which reaches far and wide, is
so effective, isn't it? Yeah. And actually the last few weeks we've had serious technical problems. Like things have been crashing at the worst possible time, but such is the ability of our technical team and their education and their desire to want to learn as well in the last year. They've managed to, it's almost like what I call a swan underneath the water. They're flapping around trying to get things going, but online to everyone, it just looks lovely. And that's just been really good to see. So we're really thankful to our broadcasting team led by Sanjay that it just goes so well and we can reach so many people. So long may that continue, and it will continue even when June the 21st or after comes, where we have zero restrictions. We will still be broadcasting everything because we want to continue what we're doing. It's been such a blessing this last 12 months.
And in the midst of all this, Phil, you decided to move house.
Oh mate, I'm knackered. You might not be able to see it, but I've got paint on my hair, paint in my fingernails. Yeah, we got the keys yesterday. We're moving on Thursday. There's loads to do, but it's an exciting time. We're just up the road from John Newman's parents, actually. Okay. And John's dad, Maynard, came and introduced himself earlier, and we had a chat. Nice. Lovely guy, just as he would be, being John's dad. But yeah, really good location. We just wanted to be closer to our church family, We wanted a bigger place because in a couple of months, my wife gives birth to our second child as well, which is even more exciting. But to be closer to the church and the church community is just something it's a no-brainer for us. It's something we're really excited to be part of. So anyone wants to come around to get it right. Although I must say, bless her, and she has apologised for it, a complete typo. The address in the last week's bulletin was wrong. So if you're going to send me meals and things like that, or wine, don't do it from the bulletin. It's wrong. Let me know where you're sending it, and I'll give you the right address. Yes. But yeah, no, it's still so exciting. And actually tomorrow, Thursday, is the day we're moving. So I'm coming here to do the prayer course because we won't have internet at the new house yet. So yes. I'll be here in the evening, which is just great. Done. So just so much happening from children's ministry to youth and everyone in between, up until our fellowship groups that are meeting during the day in a couple of weeks. There's loads going on at church, which is so exciting to be part of.
And we're here for you, my friends, and we want to serve you in any way we can. So may you know God's blessing today and encouragement in the days to come.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.